My name's Amilia Stewart-Keating. I'm an actor, a director, and the co-artistic director of Bitter Like a Lemon.
Hi, Amelia, and we should say as well that it's April the 20th, I think. Yeah, something, and we're kind of this part of the series. I think a time capsule. We're in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic lockdown, and some of us more than others, let's say, Amelia, are kind of waiting for for an exit from this. Yeah, you're very heavily pregnant at the moment. Yes.
Yeah, 9 months pregnant, ready to pop.
Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
Can I just put in some kind of risk assessment if it happens during this? I've got people standing by to call.
Put it out anyway, put it out. I'll bring you to the hospital with me.
Come here. Obviously, I kind of know you through work, but I'm kind of interested in, right back, because I just kind of was reading up a bit about you and stuff that I never knew about your singing and gymnastics. And I'm kind of fascinated about, like, as a kid, was kind of performance in your genes, do you think? Do you think you kind of always wanted to do it?
I always wanted to perform, definitely. My mum and dad put me in the Gaiety since I was a kid because I actually didn't talk until I was about 5 or 6. I was a really quiet kid. But I used to like imitate people a lot and got in trouble for it in school. Like there was a girl in my class, my mum always tells the story, that used to walk with her feet turned in. And I went through a stage of walking like that. Went to Clark's, got these special shoes and all, and then just stopped doing it. And my mum was like, "We got you the shoes, like, why we?" And I goes, "Oh, because she was doing it." Like really weird. I was a very strange child. But they put me in the Gaiety to kind of bring me out my shell a bit. But that's all it was for.
Yeah. And what age would that have been at?
About 5 or 6.
Okay, so like, early enough.
Yeah. But also to keep me busy as well. Like they put me in everything. I was in kickboxing, arts after school, French class after school. It's obviously really like an annoying child because they wanted me out of the house.
And did you find something at that young? I mean, obviously you were doing all these things, and was there kind of, were you into them? Like, were you into the drama in the Gaiety school? Did you find something there that you kind of didn't realize?
I did. I really loved it. I used to, and I still do. I always found improv really scary when I was a kid, and it's funny. I really love it now. It still terrifies me, but I still like really love it. Whereas memorizing lines and stuff like that, I think is so easy and really like satisfying. But it's the improv and stuff like that where you have to go up and it's all you can't like hide behind anything. That terrifies me.
And come here, when you were that young though, I mean, when you say you were quite a child, didn't speak, was that any issue going to drama, or did you just kind of, spoke away?
No, there was no reason behind it. I just didn't. I was always like just busy doing things.
Yeah.
I just wasn't outgoing. I wouldn't have been like the boss of the playground or anything, which now I love being the boss, so it obviously done me good.
And was the arts or anything in your house? Were people into kind of plays, movies, things, went like that, or just
nothing? Loads of my mum is a gorgeous singer. Like she's always sang, never professional or anything, just around the house. And my dad, with a few jars in him, would be into all the Celtic songs and stuff.
Yeah.
So between that, like again, like just aunties and stuff doing karaoke at house parties. That's the extent of it.
Yeah. And come here, where did the singing then come into it for you? Like, what age did you start that?
I remember trying out for like a school choir in primary school. I think it was like you could be in choir from like first class. And I remember coming home and saying to my mum, "Oh, I'm in the choir now." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't know you liked singing." And then being in the choir, and at that age, like learning like harmonies and stuff. She said, like, I used to start making up harmonies on the radio. Loved singing then, and my choir teacher put me forward to go for Corn and Oak in RTE. So I went and done that, got in, and then it was just like, that's it, I just wanted to be a singer. And music was everything, Loved music, played piano, was in a band, like not like a rock band, as in like like band camp band.
Right.
In Tala growing up, I just loved it. I loved like reading music, and switching instruments and just trying my hand at everything. Just really, really enjoyed it. And obviously went on then to study that in college
Yeah.
because it was really what I thought I wanted to do at the time.
And was the acting kind of, or was did you keep doing with the Gaiety kind of all along those years as well?
I stopped the Gaiety from after my junior cert.
Okay.
Like,
but you would be doing it for a chunk of time. I mean, that's nearly like a good nearly.
yeah, yeah, the summer camps and everything. And it's like funny, the teacher I had when I was a kid, I had the whole way through. When I done the full-time course then, it was just crazy.
Wow.
It was, yeah, two teachers I had the whole time. That was mad. Yeah, it is.
But was there a decision to kind of, not a decision, but I mean, like, having kids myself, you can kind of see what they're doing loads of stuff, and then as they get older, they kind of start to streamline things, because from a parent's point of view, there aren't enough nights in the week, or there aren't enough kind of, so like from
That's
kids,
it.
yeah, and all those things.
Yeah, like I remember my dad saying to me, you have to pick between singing and kickboxing. And I picked singing, and my dad had to go around and tell me trainer. And my dad says, oh, he was devastated. He still tells how he was devastated. And then with gymnastics, like, oh God, I loved it so much. I really did. But you kind of realise that unless you're going to the Olympics, there's nothing in it, and I wasn't going to the Olympics. I wasn't that good.
Yeah.
So it was just time, like, to say I had a really good time doing that, but I had to concentrate on singing.
And through secondary school, like, were you known as the singer? Like, were people aware? Were your friends and group of friends aware that that's what you were into?
Yeah, there was me and another girl, and the other girl was actually a much better singer than me now in hindsight. She just was. She was just like braver, had like a bigger range. So it was me and her always kind of gone through school. And then I think when I went on to college then and done it, and when I went to the Gaiety, I remember being like, I just don't want to be known as a singer this time. I was sick of it. But yeah, it would have been me and like this girl kind of singing at all the school events and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And then that decision, that's a big decision after doing your leaving cert to go and study music.
Yeah, I went to DIT. It was great.
Yeah.
It was really great. But yeah, I was actually going out with a guy at the time, and I remember being up practicing for a piano exam, and he was doing acting. And he texted me being like, oh, I'm in like improv class now. It's such a great, and he was telling me about his day and what he was doing. And I just made a decision. I was like, I want to do that.
Okay.
It was like so strange. It wasn't like I wasn't ever like, I want to be an actor. I want to do this. I was really happy being in the chorus in the background, just singing and dancing. Then I was like, no, I actually really like the sound of it. I was like, that sounds really appealing. So I'd love to do that for a bit. So especially after going from the leaving cert straight into like a degree course, it was really intense. And this just sounded like so much fun. And like all the summer courses that you've done, imagine doing that for like full time. Like I just thought it would be brilliant. So I went to Ballymun the following year to do like a year trial of it. Mm-hmm. Absolutely loved it. Auditioned for the Gaiety, and I think I remember graduating from the Gaiety and being like, I like might pursue this now.
I mean, what did it feel like? That like when you went and did the kind of pre-course or the year in Ballymun, like what was it that it felt like in me that made you want to go, okay, I'm kind of going to step forward into this now? It wasn't
really intense enough for me. I actually kind of thought it was like a gap year. It was very relaxed. And I just wanted more. I was like, I want a chance to do that in front of, I think we had like one like end of year show. And I just wanted to do more. I wanted to do more plays because we were reading a lot of plays. And so I was like, I want to play that part and I want to play that part. And there were so many of us, and like it was only a couple of hours a day. It wasn't enough. I really got a hunger for it. I was like, I want to try more.
And was previous to that, like, I presume you performed a lot singing, did you, and piano? Like, was that kind of, were you performing a lot?
Yeah, well, I grew up in kind of like stage schools.
Yeah.
So singing and dancing were my thing. And I remember I'd done some work with festival productions, and I remember going in for the audition for Beauty and the Beast for the chorus. So I sang my song. I was going to be dancing anyway, and then the director had said, will you read this side? And it was for Belle. And I remember reading it, and he was like, oh, do you want to try it again? And I tried it again. He was like, it's such a pity, because I was just so bad. I was like, I want to be good at that, just to have that opportunity. I'm definitely someone that says if people think I can't do something, I want to do it even more.
Okay.
You know?
And was that always there, that attitude, do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really bad trait of mine.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, a bit defiant like that.
Yeah. No, that's not necessarily a bad trait. What what did you find then in the Gaiety? What was it you kind of went, this is it. This is kind of
It was really a lot about watching my other classmates perform and stuff. It was just something really magic, I think, happened in that year. Like everyone was like of such like a high standard. And we'd done this thing called Manifesto, where you like write, produce, direct, and star in your own piece. And every second week, you're working on your own piece, as well as learning monologues and like working on your voice and accents and everything. And I just remember like just loving that class, just to see what everyone else was nearly doing. But then just the possibility of, it's not just you getting up on stage and reading out someone else's words. You can also write your own or direct someone else's, like put your own spin on things, learning how to like work a lighting desk, learning about like sets and putting sets together. It was just, there was just so many more opportunities than just hear your lines and just get up and read them. Do you know what I mean? And seeing what people brought every week, like there was never a week I was like, oh my God, that was just like crap. There was always something magic that happened every week.
Yeah.
That was just really inspiring.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something I ever thought that like I was capable of, or that anyone could really be capable of. It's not anything it's not a class I ever knew existed.
Yeah.
You know, or like untapped potential in everyone. Like it was just magic. It really was.
And did that give you a kind of a, because, you know, and we'll talk about your career in a few minutes, but did that give you a sense of the all-round thing, though, that particular manifesto around that? Because, you know, you're active in so many different areas and facets of the industry and have been for the last number of years. It's like that. Did that give you a hunger to kind of go, oh, you can do this, that, and that kind of self-starting way?
Kind of. I don't like being idle.
Yeah.
So even if it wasn't my week, I'd be hoping someone would ask me to like direct their piece or like help them with like set design, or if anyone was like, is anyone free? I'd be like, I'm free, you know, or even just doing the music, for just being involved in making something.
Yeah.
Was something that really appealed to me, especially when it wasn't my own, because I love you having an input on someone else's idea and it becoming like this big like snowball of ideas put together. I just thought that was just amazing. Yeah. So it was always like everyone had an input. If you were on a team in Manifesto, I really liked that.
And that seems to, though, I mean, like from chatting there about kind of your younger age in primary school, that seems to be, though, a trait that you have, that you kind of, you find your way into places, that you kind of, you know, you push it into places in a good way. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, there is an inquisitive mind going on there the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. I got to push myself in places where I don't belong.
That's not what I said.
No, you're right. I do. I like being a part of something bigger. You know, I think I always have been like part of a team. Yeah, because sometimes I'm like, my ideas aren't always great, but if someone else has an idea and allows me in, like, I think that's really inspiring. You know, to have like your kind of filter on someone else's work. Yeah. I can't write. No, I can't. I literally can barely write my own name. I'm just not. I can't. I have too many things going on in my head to ever get anything down. I have a great idea, but they'll never ever end up on the page. But I love hearing other people's ideas, and then if they let me give my opinion on them, I think that's amazing. It's such a privilege as well.
Come here, was Bitter Like a Lemon happening during that time, or did that happen after you kind of left, or what was?
No, it happened after. It was I think it was the Lee. Me and Lee have been friends since we were like kids, and we're from the same area. And I knew Lee was great at writing little stories. He used to always send me like these mad little stories on like Facebook Messenger. And I was like, they're actually really good. So I started copying and pasting them and keeping them and being like, look at all this, like these jaddy little cartoony stories that you're writing. And then when I was in my last year of the Gaiety, Lee was in the part-time. And we'd said for ages, like, we should try and do something. And I've always said, I think he's a brilliant writer. And then he said to me, I'm writing this play called Leper and Chip. And I was like, oh my God, that's such a shite name. I literally was like, and he's like, you hated that name. I tried to get him to change it. And he was like, I'm writing this play and you tell me about it. And I was like, oh, can you send it to me? And I remember when he sent it to me, I didn't want to be like, oh my God. I remember reading it being like, this is like one of the best things I've ever read. Like, now, obviously, that's me being like, he's my friend. I think he's like such a good writer. And we're in a company together. But I was a big fan of Howie the Rookie. And it was written very similar to that. And straight away, I just thought of Carl. And it was in the foyer theatre upstairs. Like, Laura and Carl were like, you need a theatre company if you want to do this show. And we were like, we'll just make up a theatre company. That was literally it. That's how it came about initially. And after Leper, we were like, will we do another one? That's literally.
And had there been, like, I suppose, leaving college and to that point, I mean, what brought you to kind of the position of kind of, obviously, you know, Facebook Messenger notes and kind of, you know, talking to Lee, and there's a play then arriving, and then the journey from that moment to approaching Carl and Laura, like, what happened then in between those points?
I'd worked with Carl in first year. We done an Ouroboros production in Dublin Castle of A Christmas Carol. And I just really liked how Carl worked. I liked what he brought out in me on stage. And as well, because the comparison between Leper and Chip and Howie the Rookie and the monologue play, I was like, I'm going to send this to him. And I was a big fan of TU anyway. Like, it was affordable. I could go like on a Saturday matinee, see a bit of theatre. I loved what the guys were doing in there. And I just chanced my arm, to be honest. I didn't know if it was going to go anywhere, but no, typical of like Carl and Laura wanting to nurture like new work and like people coming out of college and stuff. I went in. I'd done Gaslights there when we graduated our manifesto pieces, and I really loved the experience. So I gave it another go. And we went in, and it's all history from there, I suppose.
I mean, the extraordinary, I mean, I've done whatever, nearly 30 of these interviews so far, and just the extraordinary legacy of what Carl and Laura kind of did during those theatre upstairs years. It's incredible. And I think it'll be, you know, I think it needs to be continually championed, because it's not just the people that you think and you know and you associate with theatre upstairs. And it's not just younger playwrights. There's a whole, you know, gamut of people that came about.
Yeah, it really is. It's like, it's not just the taking the shows on, it's showing people how to do it themselves going forward. I didn't know what theatre company was until Carl and Laura. I didn't know how to produce. I could barely send an email. Like, all of that was the guys taking us under their wing, you know. And it was never like, it wasn't like, oh, you're not doing a show here anymore, so we're not going to reply. Like, I used to email the guys about little things, and they'd always be there, you know. Once you'd gone through there, they were always there. Like, that support was always available. And like a lot of people, I wouldn't be doing this still if it wasn't for theatre upstairs.
Yeah.
You know, it's really sad now that that place has been like taken from young performers.
Yeah.
Like, where do you go now? You know.
And then I suppose you mentioned, you know, Bitter Like a Lemon, the name is just arriving, and, you know, Leper and Chip, and then an explosion happens. You know, the like Leper and Chip. How did Connell kind of get involved in that?
Well, Lee was like messaging me loads of people that he was like, what about this person and what about that person for the role? And me and Connell had worked together a lot in college, and I was like, has to be Connell. you know. Just that dynamic, and because I felt like I knew the characters really well, especially that character Leper. It was like that, like little dope that's really charming, and I was like, has to be Connell. So Lee came then the last couple of, he came to the grad show and really saw Connell then, and he was like, yeah, I think that's right. And they were meant to be like, what, 20, 21, and it just had to be, you know, there was never anyone else for the parts.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing that in, I didn't see it in theatre, but I saw it in Project, and it just blew off the stage. And I think every element of it, you know, from the directing to the writing to the acting to the staging of it to the look of it, and it must have been some trip for you guys.
It was terrifying, Mark. Like, really, like, I remember, like, we just thought, like, we done Gaslights, and it was like a gorgeous show, and we got audiences and stuff like that. It was really, really nice experience. But God, with Leper and Chip, like, I remember the first show we done was like a Tuesday matinee, and Carl kept coming in and out of the theatre. We were all ready, and Laura gave us like one of her lovely like talks. Carl was in and out and in and out and in and out, telling us who was in, and it was like went from someone from the what's that called? Some lad from a band was in. Marco Rowe was here, and it was like every time he came in, he was like, someone else is here, and we were like, oh my God. And I remember like me and Conor and we'd both been on stage before then, but it was just so different. We were both looking at each other, absolutely sweating, being like, I think I'm going to collapse. I forgot everything. It was just the most bizarre experience. And then once that like hush music kind of came on and the lights came up and we were just there, it was like, oh my God, it just something really like magic happened. I've never had an experience like it, and I don't think I will again. It was just like, we're actually doing this properly. Like, people are coming here to see us that we like really admire. The theatre was sold out. There was people standing, and it was like the old layout of TU. I think me, Lee and Connell at the end were like, did that just happen? It was magic. It really was. Like, it was amazing. And to do it, obviously, with like with my two best mates, the three of us were just like, oh my God, this is insane. It was gorgeous.
And then it rolled on. I mean, like, you know, it was for a couple of years, it was kind of on and off, wasn't it?
We done it from 2014. The last time we done it was like 2 years ago at Electric Picnic. Yeah, we done it a lot. We travelled everywhere with it.
Yeah.
Which was handy because we could really just put it in the back of a van.
And then for you, I mean, like, that's hello, I'm out of college. You know, it's kind of a big, big entrance to the business. And in such a short space of time, you know, kind of 5, 6, 7 years, your CV has kind of been such a wide gamut of, you know, from being, you know, on Fair City in one of the top storylines in the last number of years, to the Snapper, to your own company, to directing, to producing, to being on the peak. So I'm really interested in, let's talk about the company first. Let's talk about a bit of like a Lemon, and, you know, how then when you had the company, you had a hit show, and that difficult second, you know, how do you kind of then go, what are we going to do now?
Yeah. Oh, it's really mad, like, because Lee writes and writes and writes and writes. Like, he has so many things just stored aside that I'm like big fan of, but he always knows when it's the right time.
Yeah.
I really tried to push Lee into putting on Angels of Mercy, which I just love. What it's about euthanasia, and it's just something I think is really controversial, and I tried to push him into doing that next, which didn't go great because it wasn't ready. It's just, I love doing things about topics like that. So we went into TU. I actually wasn't there for the read through, but I remember Lee being like, it's not ready, and that just has to go aside for a bit. And I was heartbroken. And then he wrote Peruvian Voodoo, and we had Emily Gilmore Murphy is a writer I was in contact with, and she wrote a play called A Boy Called Ned, and I had workshopped that in the Lear with her for her writer's workshop, and Jimmy Fay would kind of done a reading with us, and I really liked the play. So I went into Carol and Laura and I was like, right, I have 2 plays. I want to put something on, and I'm free. I've 6 weeks off from Fair City. So I was like, I just don't know which one to do. So we done read-throughs of both of them, and then the lads were like, why don't you do both? Like, back to back, you know, like, Bare Like Lemons, Occupying TU. And I remember just me and Lee didn't even think. We were just like, we just do it, like, we just do it. So we done it. It actually went really well. The two shows, they went really well. I love Peruvian Voodoo. I really want to do that show again. It's actually one of my favourite pieces of Lee's, and I just don't think it got enough of a run because we just got busy afterwards. And we were always being like, next one, next one, next one. We just got greedy and we just wanted to keep going. But we done the Occupy TU, 2 shows back to back. And I didn't realise at the time, I was like, for our second and third show to be back to back, like, fair play to us. We were like, do you know what I mean? we done it. They were really, really good. Obviously, I think that, but it was a really good experience. We got to work with different actors as well. It was like a 3-hander with 3 lads. And then we got to work with Liam Heslin, Ashton O'Byrne, and Jasmine Brady, which was really, really nice, about like a load of gobshy kids. You know, it was really enjoyable. I can't believe we pulled it off now, looking back. We're just a bunch of chancers. We really are. Like, honestly, we're just a bunch of chancers.
Well, yeah. You might be chancers in relation to the fact that you see chances and take them, or ask for them, but not chancers in the derogatory term of the word. Just go back there for a second. In relation to, like you just mentioned there, you did it on a break from Fair City. How did Fair City happen? I mean, obviously, I know how it happened, but in relation to it happening, because imagine that brought a whole other level of attention for you, and a different type of attention.
It was, I was with an agent, and it came in, it was like, oh, like this big cattle call for Fair City, and everyone and their nanny were there. Like, it was mad. I remember going in for the first round and getting a call back and being like, oh my God, that's mad, that's a callback. And I'd only done like 2 or 3 things before then, like an ad, like a small play, and a short film. So I was like, oh, callback, that's basically like winning. Like, do you know what I mean? So I got that, and then I went back again. I got another callback, and then it was like family pair-ups for like a couple of rounds of like family pair-ups, and then got the part. But it was like such a long process that you just kept forgetting about it. Yeah. And then you get a call, go back in, like TV and film usually is. And actually, I was meant to start Fair City earlier, but then it was a clash between that and Leper and Ship. So, like, I was messaging them with Laura's help, actually, being like, is there any way around this? And thank God they worked around it, because I started Fair City the Monday after we finished Leper and Ship. Yeah, and it was meant to be 2 weeks, it was meant to be the Monday before Leper and Ship opened. So they gave me a couple of weeks grace and just, like, wrote me out, obviously, those episodes, thank God.
How long were you in there then for?
In Fair City?
Yeah.
I kind of just done Fair City then for like a year.
Yeah, but what a year.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really, like, it was a cool storyline. I loved the idea of Kate going in and battling with her sexuality, and it was a really nice role to leave college and go into. You know, really important. I really loved it. Yeah, I'll always love that.
It's fascinating though, because as you say, you hit play, you get cast in for Fair City. You're in a kind of a storyline that kind of takes off in a big way, and then you have a kind of company that you're trying to manage. I mean, that's a busy, and you decide to do a double album for your second show.
Greedy.
No, stop using negative words. So after that, then, when in the next, say that's the first wave of for you and Amilia, then when it was kind of the directing piece and the really actively producing piece, was that something that just came naturally, or something that you're interested in doing?
No, it didn't come naturally. It was really hard. Like, I used to like email the lads into you and be like I remember, like, I asked Laura to sit down and help me, like, learn how to write an email. Like it doesn't come naturally to me,
Okay.
you know. And it took a long time for me to realize that you can't just know everything. It's every job you learn something more, you know.
Yeah.
It's a process. You can't just like be qualified, you know. There's, the learning is never done. Like acting, you always have room to learn more.
Yeah. And then I suppose as a performer, like in the last number of years, you've, as I said, you've Peacock, The Gate, and then a few years ago now, but Murder of Crows, which was kind of an extra. Again, that for me put Bitter Like a Lemon into a different place. Do you know what I mean? It was kind of
Yeah.
that was an
It was
amazing.
darker than the other ones.
Yeah, a bit. you just talk about kind of your role in that, or the character and how that developed.
In Murder of Crows. Lee told me he was writing Murder of Crows for a while. I loved the name, and I was just like, yeah, when it's ready, like, let me read it. And I remember just reading it and just being like, oh my god, this is so different. It's so mature. How it interweaves and stuff was just amazing. And then me and Lee like kind of had a chat about it, and we knew there was only one person we wanted to direct it, you know, and that was Carl. And we knew there was only one place we wanted to do it, and it was TU. It was really nice as well going back to TU with that show, because the last time we'd been there would have been with our difficult second album. So yeah, we went back, and I remember being like, I really, really wanted to play Ash O'Mara's character. And that didn't happen. But yeah, it was, I don't know, it still just feels like really surreal that we done that play. It was just, I know, like Ash was talking about it, like it was amazing the first time around. It was really, really overwhelming with all the interjecting. And it was really unusual to be a part of, because like the guys were on this side of the stage and they were like in the same play, and I was in a completely different play. And even as the character, I was like, I feel so left out, you know, like just because she is like, she's not on the same wavelength as the guys at all. And it's all this like mad flowery language about something that's horrific, which I thought was cool. And the soundscape and everything was amazing. But it was a really strange experience playing that character and being so separate from the guys. And then the second time around, we went up to Belfast. It was insane because it was the trial was going on. I like it, like the tears that night. Like it was just like, yeah, it was so. It just felt so real. It felt like we were like, we meant it. We really had to tell this story. There was like a sense of urgency about the story. But that part terrified me. Like anything, I think around, it's very easy to play the really rough, really damaged kind of like FU kind of character, but playing the character that was the one that had like that happened to them. Yeah. Like I found that very difficult.
Yeah.
You know, I found it very, very difficult to like try and get that, because that is people's story, you know, and you want to do it justice. And yeah, it was definitely a really difficult role, I think.
Yeah, I think it's worth, there was a line through your career and through your companies of that. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, yes, there is obviously, Lee has a particular aesthetic that he kind of writes in, but it's also thematically. I mean, when you came out to us then, for the year, kind of, as a kind of resource or whatever, the plays you developed there, they're of that kind of, yeah, there's a reason behind it more than just putting on a play.
Yeah.
And I think particularly then, and what's interesting for me about you is at that stage, I could see, the way you were growing as people throughout that kind of year of kind of chatting to you, and you were very much taking on that producer space, and that was kind of fascinating. And you kind of, like around, say, Ash's show and then the From Both Sides for the Fringe.
Yeah.
That was again another step on for the company, with Armand coming in to kind of direct. And
yeah,
how, I mean, that again, the similar similar backgrounds to the story, you know, similar kind of social issues behind the stories. And how did that kind of decision making come for you?
To be honest, like I'm not even going to try and take credit for that. It's Lee. Lee comes to me with the ideas.
Mm.
You know, we usually, if we're talking about work, we go for like a stroll around the area, and he's like, I want to write a play about this. This is why, and then we kind of give a bit of feedback on it, and he's like, I'm going to go ahead and do this now, and come back with like a bit of a draft, and if that works, come back with a full draft and talk about casting and stuff. It is like, it's Lee has in his head what he wants to write and has a specific reason why he wants to write it. And that's why I think he's so brilliant. You know, there's always, it's not just I'm writing this for the sake of it. He always does have something to say. And then it's like hearing him talk and makes me like, I really want to do this and want to get this done right. And yeah, I wouldn't even like try and take any credit for that.
No, but I mean, yeah, no, but I suppose there is another creative journey in kind of taking that idea and then you know what I mean? There's kind of one thing happens. No, but you know what I mean? But I think that's fascinating because within the different projects, you seem to wear multiple hats the whole time, and I'm kind of interested in how you can separate them from Amilia, the actress on stage, not worrying about. Is that hard?
It is hard. Yeah, it's very hard. I didn't realize how hard it was until I done the snapper and had absolutely nothing else to do but turn up. And I remember one of my mates being like to me, "You don't have to be like putting up all them pictures in the rehearsal room." And I was like, "What?" They're like, "You're not getting paid to do that." And I was like, "Oh yeah." Not that I'm getting paid anyway, but no, definitely like it was so ingrained in me to like be like, picture this and a picture that, and like promoting stuff that I didn't need to promote. It's really weird. And going back to Inner Veins then was crazy because I was like, oh my God, there's so much to do. And before that, it was just do it, you know? So it was just that little break that I realised they are separate. Because for me, they weren't. For me, it was all the same. It was just all part of it.
And then such an absolute joy to be in the middle of a massive, brilliant hit, you know, and kind of to have that luxury of just being the actress.
Oh my God, it was so nice. It was weird for the first couple of weeks, but just showing up and not having to like look at like sales reports or be like, we have to sell more tickets for next week, and like all the little things like looking over contracts and have we got enough money and like all that, like just showing up and just getting to act was an absolute treat. Like really. Not that I don't enjoy the others, it's just it was so nice for a change to just be able to be like, oh, I just have to show up and just like act now.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'd say that the buzz around that show must have been incredible because you could see it taking off.
It was amazing to be a part of. It really was. It's like we've watched the Snapper and all the Roddy Doyles in the house. Like we're big fans of Roddy. And when that was announced in the gate, I remember ringing like my agent Lisa and I was like, I'm going to be in that show. And she was like, it's not audition until next year. And I was like, but I'm going to be in that show. End the story. Like, it's like, I'm fully going to be in that. And she was like, oh, brilliant. Yeah, that's deadly. And I was like, there's no way that it's like happening that someone else is going to be in that and not me. I don't care who I play. I'm in that show. So, that's the first time like that happened to me because I know people have had those moments, but the Snapper, that was mine. I was like, I just have to be in it. I don't care if I play the dog, I have to be in it.
And then I suppose as well, you know, if you're talking about that, you know, Roddy Doyle is kind of, you know, how did I'm interested in kind of like how family and friends, like when they're kind of, you leave college and they see you in Leopard and Chip and, you know, maybe see a different side of you in Leopard and Chip than they've kind of seen before, and then kind of go to see you in the Snapper. How is that kind of for you?
My family aren't big theatre people. All my family went to see Leopard and Chip, and as the years have gone on, and my brother just is like, I'm not going to the theatre. I'll watch it on the telly, but I'm not going to the theatre. So, no, really, like he's like, I love you. I just don't like that. I just don't like going, which is grand. Like, my dad just every time he goes to see anything, he's like, oh, it's brilliant. You were brilliant, but it's not as good as Leopard and Chip. So, he just loved that show. Like, so. That's no matter the biggest compliment I can get, it always goes back to, but it wasn't as good as Leopard and Chip.
Then talk to me. I mean, like before we get on to in our vein,
Yeah.
I'm interested in kind of that multitasking, multi-skilled area because like directing is something you do as well. And how did that come about for you?
Again, back to manifesto. I used to anything I used to write, I'd never be in myself, which is mad. Like I remember John Delaney being like, you have to like be in your things as well. Like I'd write something and I'd be like, who'd be brilliant in that? Like Kate would be brilliant in that, or Ian would be great in that, or Connell would be great like in that role. And like I was always like imagining other people, because I was like, if I do it, I'll do it what's in my head, but if they do it, they might do something different and that might give me another idea. And I just like collaborations. So I definitely, I remember leaving the Gaiety and thinking I just wanted to be a director
Okay.
initially. And then I was out with a couple of people in my class and someone actually was like, no, you won't be an actor, you'll just be a director. And I was like, well, now I'm just going to have to prove you wrong. Seriously. Like as soon as I heard that, and Connell always says that to me, he's like, I literally, if I want you to do something, I'll say you can't do it, because then you will do it. Which is kind of petty, but oh well. And that's honestly, I thought when I left, I was like, I just want to be a director. And I'm glad that isn't what happened. But I like when someone gives you their piece, like really trusts you, and it becomes like a collaboration, I don't know. I really like it. And watching Carl, because obviously I worked with Carl more than any director since I graduated. Watching him direct was like watching a conductor, like in an orchestra. It was like amazing. Just the little things like he'd pull out and like be doing, and he'd stop you and say something really insightful that would change everything for you. It's like things that don't even pop into your head. Like watching him and what he done with Peace, I was like, I want to find those moments and pieces. And been very lucky with who I've got to work with, like friends that have trusted me. Definitely haven't done enough of it. I'd love to do some like assistant directing, like with bigger directors, to see how to work a room, because that's just not a skill that I have right now. So I am obviously gonna look for that in the future. But I just really like someone being like, take this and make something of it, and let's like create something really brilliant here. I just don't think that you can do that solely with acting, but I think you can do it as a director, like pull everything together and create like a world, like it's like program music. It's like if I was ever going to write music, it would be like program music as opposed to like a pop song or something like that. It's all the elements coming together and like really just working. I love that.
Talk to me
like
about that. Talk to me about that music.
Program music, like my favorite music is like Tchaikovsky, his kind of program music. I just love like all his motifs. Like motifs are like little singular musical ideas, but they just like every character has a motif and they all mix together to make this big world of sound that when you hear that instrument playing that motif, everything just makes sense. And that's what I kind of try and do when I'm directing. It makes sense in my brain.
No, it completely makes sense.
Yeah, it's I love, like if I'm directing a show, I have to sound design it myself. Because I hear things and I hear sounds before I see characters. Like I know what people's like. I do it myself, even acting. Like once I read a play, I make a playlist and I listen to it to find something in it. I'm a weirdo, am I?
Can I
actually it's out loud, so I'm just like,
can I be honest with you? Can I be honest with you? I'm actually smiling in recognition more than smiling at you.
That's good.
Yeah, no, it's similarly when I direct. It's I kind of use it. I use it as a kind of thought process in the rehearsal room. I always talk about music, kind of as music, because I think you're probably going to end up directing operas in the future. But
I would love that.
yeah, but I do think it's funny. I was talking to Tom Creed on one of these the other day, and he was saying that he studied music as a kid, but it was only when he started directing operas that he realized, oh my God, great, because he can similarly talk like that and read music, and it became a whole other layer of stuff. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think music. I mean, I remember doing The Good Father in just 2015 or 16, whatever it was. But in its development, I just kept hearing U2 song. It was about kind of the north side of Dublin and two people, and then I scored it with each scene had a U2 song attached to it. So anyway, go on. Yes, Grant. So I was laughing in recognition.
Well, that's a relief. I'm actually talking crap now.
No. Then you bring your company into the National Theatre.
That was amazing. That still feels like it didn't happen. It was just such a dream with a dream cast and creatives, and it was really amazing. Yeah, we got to know Eamon, the CAO of Dublin Port. We were going down to the Galway Arts Festival, myself and Connell, and we had a lift down in the same car as Eamon, and he happened to have a CD called oh my God, Starboard Home it was called. Sorry, baby brain. And he put it on, and it was like Duke Special and all these artists that had written songs based on the docks. My granddad was a docker his whole life. And Lee's granddad was a docker, and he used to talk about our granddads and all these mad stories that they'd like heard in the pubs or that you'd hear from the docks or from the tenements and stuff like that. And I was listening to these songs, and I just said, I'd love to write a play about the docks. And I was telling him about my granddad and stuff. And he was like, oh, that's something we'd be interested in, because this year we're doing music, next year we're doing like graphic design and photography, and the year after we're thinking maybe theatre. So I just invited him to everything we done then. I invited him to Slice, and the Axis was the first thing. I was like, no, we write real Dublin things, but like, you know, like real old school, like kind of Dublin, and I think you'd like it. And we invited him to Slice. And watching it, I remember being like, oh, he hates this, we'll never get that. But he loved it. And then he seen Leper and Chip, he seen Murder of Crows, and then he was like, let's come in and have a talk. And me and Lee had this big presentation like ready to go, and he was like, so we're going to give you the money to do this. And I remember me and Lee were like, oh my God, money. It was amazing. Like, to tell a story we really wanted to tell, and about like real people. Like, everyone in that play was based on someone real. So that was amazing. You know, like hearing all these stories, there was just too many of them. So the ones you pick, you like, we have to do justice to. And yeah, like the guys were so good. Like, we were like trying to hear a draft, and they were like, no, we trust you, which was terrifying, that level of trust. Because you're like, no, come and tell us what you want, because like if you're just saying this in the Abbey like on open night, that's terrifying. Which was the case, but they loved it.
Yeah.
It was so nice to be able to pay people as well. Yeah. Like, as a producer, you just can't go back from that then, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think I was saying to Lee when he did one of these, I remember being at the opening night of that, and first of all, I couldn't get to Lee after the show because he was surrounded by dockers. But just the feeling in that theatre, it kind of just, it was a feeling I recognized, and it was a feeling I love when you get in there. So that sense of real storytelling, you know, that kind of, you know, that, or sense of love that, you know, people seeing not alone their own lives and stories, but their own existence reflected. And I think it really, there's something, I don't know if I've said this to you guys before, but, you know, there's something really that I find with the way you work and with the company and the stories you tell that kind of has a real relevance and authenticity kind of to hear, because you speak as well about, you know, you're both from Tala, and, you know, the sense of people having moved out of the city, you know, back in the 50s and 60s, and that's where, you know, both Tala and Ballymun were kind of built from. But then to bring those stories of the docks back in again, do you know what I mean? That this was kind of written and developed by people from the suburbs or from a different part of the city.
Yeah.
That must have been a huge thing for you.
Yeah, it really was just to get to the opportunity. It's it's hard. It's like you've so many stories. Well, mainly we're like we've so many projects we love to work on, but it's just it's there's no money. There's no money. Like, and the days of us putting our hands in our pockets and working like two jobs to put on a show, they're just we can't do it anymore. So for the lads to trust us and give us the opportunity to tell a story about really that inspired by our grandparents was phenomenal. Like that, like we were really lucky. There's no matter any stories you hear, none of them can be the ones from the Ducks. They just can't. Just they're just the best. Like they were the days of storytelling. Like, and half the stuff that my nanny and granny used to tell me were absolute lies because it was years and years of like exaggerating it. But they're the best stories. And like we've always kind of myself and Lee both love anything about the tenements because that's where our grandparents came from. But getting to tell those stories and the people that came, like I know, like a lot of people came and were saying like to myself and Ash about the working girls. Oh, like, my great granny was a working girl, or like those stories, and then like about Ian and Jack and Jerry playing those dockers. Like it was so spot on. Your man missed the boat coming and like hugging Jack was just amazing. It's their stories that they just don't get told anymore, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like the singing and stuff in it. Like I remember someone being like, "Oh, he's kind of like sang out nowhere," and I was like, "My granddad used to sing out nowhere." Like he really did. Like he'd be sitting there and just start like singing. My grandmother as well. Like those were the people,
And I think it's amazing. That's why I can't wait to see kind of what's next. And obviously, you're out just recently pre-pandemic developing a very exciting piece. But I suppose there was also a real. I don't mean step on as in kind of better, but a step in a totally different direction for the company while keeping the kind of the roots of the storytelling. You know what I mean? So like compare Leper and Chip to In My Veins, you say, God, that they're very different, but they're not. But like the story is the same.
Yeah, I always think that Lee writes in this parallel Dublin. It's not the Dublin that we live in, it's his version of Dublin. Like a sepia kind of Dublin, regardless of like if it's Leper and Chip or In Our Veins. He has like this like wash that he puts over his version of Dublin, and that's the version of Dublin that I like to be in. Yeah, I just love like his language never changes, even though it could be like 100 years earlier or later. But I know what you mean. They're so from like two teenagers killing each other and falling in love to a play about the docks.
Yeah, but I think
it's so different.
But I think that I suppose, I think what's the huge strength of what you have. They're both still very authentic Dublin. They're kind of You weren't telling a story about the docks. You were telling those people's stories.
Yeah.
And that was very powerful.
Thanks very much, Mark.
There you are. That's my one compliment for today.
You're so good.
I'm going to leave you. I want one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a kind of, I'm just interested in kind of bringing it back to the music. I mean, in relation to the way you spoke there about the directing, the way you spoke about the music in My Veins, and the way you spoke, like, is that something that you still hold dear to you as you go through? Like, is there something that, yeah?
Yeah, like at the end of the day, I think I'm always going to be like a music geek. It's just my connection to everything. Like I'm dyslexic, so music is something that I've just always got. Like reading music, hearing it, writing it. It's just kind of like my into the world, my creative in. I think. God, my dream would be to direct a musical, an original musical. It would be amazing. Music is just where everything starts for me. I can't really explain it. It's probably my baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think at the underline like of everything, it's music, you know.
And
Um,
you write music. Say you write music.
I do. I haven't in a long time. I kind of when I left DIT, I was just kind of like I'm just going to leave that now. You know, like I used to teach singing and stuff like that, and I left everything, and I was like, I just want to concentrate on acting now. And over the last, I'd say 2 years, I've really regretted that. But just so hard to start again, and not just see it as like a hobby, I suppose. But no, I do. I'd like they draw a laugh at me. Like we have a piano in the sitting room, and you know I wouldn't play it for months, and then I'd sit down for 2 days and I'd be obsessed with just getting like you know these chords to match and to compose at least like you know a verse and a bridge or a chorus or something, and then I'll never go back to it. So I have loads of unfinished little bits. But yeah, it's just something I really like. It's like I have to get it out of my brain, but it's never something that I'm like I need people to hear. I think it's over the years. I think I'm just like that's just for me now, you know.
For the moment.
But for the moment, yeah. Oh, there's too much, Mark. I just can't. And the baby on top of it.
Yeah. Come here, look, I'll let you go. Thanks a million for taking part in this, and I'd like to wish yourself and Connell and you, Baba, all the best. Particularly you in the coming few weeks.
I'll need it.
Yeah.
I'll definitely need it.
Thanks a million.
Thanks, Mark.
No worries.